I love it. I love it. I love it. I love being able to play that theme tune on the launch, Max. What do you think of that?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's orange.
Oh, you know what else I programmed in here? I didn't program that guy who's doing our lawn, but you might be able to hear him outside. But I have this just so you see. I'm going to play it sometime, but here.
Yeah.
Right, this is Cinco de Mayo. It's also Cinco de Shitcoins. Shitcoins are rallying, and you know, what do you think of Cinco de Shitcoins, Max?
Cinco de Shitcoin? Well, it's all part of the fabulous phantasmagoria that is the alt universe. You know, I haven't paid it a lot of attention, to tell you the truth, because I don't really. I've been weaned off really for 5 or 6 years now. You know, I went maximalist like 6 years ago.
Right. So, well, I'll show a few headlines here just to give you a sense of the why I am calling this episode here Cinco de Shitcoins, right? Because of course Doge has hit. It's led by Doge. Doge hit. Let's see. It is 62 cents, almost 63 cents, right? So I'm going to show you a headline here. And is that if you go to YouTube and you look up videos, you see basically even more reckless and more dangerous and more stupid tricks than are done on Jackass, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you know, this is where young people love doing this shit. They love getting wrecked. They do it for the lulz. And you know, I went to YouTube in preparation for this, and I just entered stupid guy. And I'm just going to show you just one video that is like any troll box in on any exchange or any Reddit forum about any shitcoin out there. And this is the video that is like, it's a group of guys, about 20, 30 guys, and they're all encouraging this one guy to drink a beer and then sit down on a cactus. And it looks like it's over the Grand Canyon or somewhere out west. And he nearly also falls into the canyon. So just look at this. This is shitcoiners. This is people having fun shitcoining for you. So let me find that video. Oh, here it is. Watch this.
Come on, Roy! Yeah! Yeah! He's dropping in! Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!
So you see, that's to me like a scene in a Reddit forum of like, yeah, Yeah! Get some more Doge! Yeah! I've got this other. I can't even name all the shitcoins. There's so many shitcoins I don't even know that. But that's what I imagine when I see the rally in shitcoins on Cinco de Mayo. That's what I see.
Right. Well, everybody's having fun on the way up, and what I've discovered years and years ago is that they're not so amiable on the way down. So when the bubble pops and these things crack, everyone's lashing out for somebody to blame other than themselves. So
Sure.
I don't even like to comment on it at all. So Elon Musk is pumping this coin, and he I guess when it blows up, he's gonna. I guess he doesn't really. He's bulletproof. I guess he doesn't really have any problem with that.
Well, again, I just think it's the Darwin Awards. I mean, it's kind of amusing, and I'm kind of like focusing on the shitcoin Sharons. So the Sharons are like the Karens of the meat space world, but this is on the digital currency world, and they're like, "Oh my God, you boys are gonna get wrecked." I mean, there's only so much time you can waste on that. Like how many books, how much how much education do you receive in school? How many parents tell their kids, their young boys, not to jump on a cactus right over the Grand Canyon? Like how many tell them, be careful, don't fall off don't ride your bicycle over a cliff and try to you're going to get hurt. Like it's been told over and over for thousands of years, and still usually young men like plunge to their death while trying to get wrecked. I mean, they intentionally go out to get wrecked. So like these shitcoin Sharons is like pointing their fingers at them. It's just funny because it's just like, they're going to get wrecked. They love it. They'll actually, I mean, you told me this a long time ago. This is how casinos operate, is people actually, the dopamine rush from losing, from getting wrecked, is actually way bigger than the dopamine rush given when your coin is going parabolic.
Yeah, that's true. It's you get addicted to losing because it's more dopamine released when you lose, and that's a big factor in the casino industry. And for this particular moment in the shitcoin history, you've got, of course, the Robinhood app, right? And that's facilitating all of this. And so that's millions and millions of people. Wall Street Bets, you got that crowd all together. So they've got you go mad in crowds, and there's a feeling of safety in crowds, and there's a feeling of omniscience or omnipotence that people will know exactly when to get out, and they're just going to ride this thing, whatever. And it's very, very predictable. I think Bitcoin is just standing on the sidelines, kind of laughing, and also enjoying the show until such time as it feels like, okay, I'm going to flex my muscles now, and it'll power ahead to 800,000 or whatever, and suck in a lot of capital from the shitcoin universe and the fiat world universe and the gold universe once again. So I think, Bitcoin likes to have fun too. And the way Bitcoin has fun is watching shitcoiners get wrecked.
Well, I think they all the shitcoiners kind of encourage each other, and you can see it on shitcoin Twitter. And if you check it out, it's like just like that video. Rewind this, go back and look at it, and you'll see 20, 30 guys standing around encouraging their friend to sit on a cactus, have all the little spikes out of his ass, and nearly fall into the Grand Canyon. So I think, in fact, in the lead up to that into the him sitting on the cactus, there is them like, be careful you don't fall over. I mean, like into the cliff. So it's just, I think it's just fun and games for the most part. But there are a lot of shitcoin Sharons warning them about that. And in terms of Robinhood, yeah. So that's why I call it the Cinco de Shitcoins, because there are 5 shitcoins on Robinhood available. Well, exposure to these, like to the price of those coins on Robinhood, you don't actually have, physical, you don't have possession of those coins. They hold it for you. So I'm going to cut to a headline here just to show you that the Cinco de Shitcoins is So,
how's this better? How's that? That's
good.
like right. It's right there.
Right. So, I mean, Robinhood is it's a new thing, right? It's like a Game Boy for the Generation Z who are receiving massive stimulus checks, which is like, it seems like fake money because it is fake money in a hyperinflationary period, and they're pouring it into anything that they could buy. They don't care what it is on the app. It's, you know, the Robinhood app shows you the trending up shares or coins, anything that's trending on the side. They're just clicking on that and buying, right? So it's like you said, it's like the casino gulag where they're just clicking on whatever comes in front of their face, and that's it.
Yeah, well, that's right. So Robinhood. So remember these coins when they were going to be listed on Coinbase, they'd get a pop, and there's a whole pay to play thing in crypto where these coins. Remember during the altcoin market and the ICO days, where you have to pay exchanges a lot of money to get your coins listed. It's kind of ironic that right now what Robinhood is doing, what Coinbase is doing, is really the coin of the day, which is what John McAfee did in 2017, and he's currently sitting in a jail in Spain for that. So while he rots in jail, you've got now Robinhood is effectively doing the same thing. So his timing was bad. He was an innovator. A lot of time the pioneers end up with the arrows in their back.
He was a shitcoin innovator.
Yeah, if only he could held off a couple of years, he'd be king of the shitcoins. But he was a little too early, and now he faces some big prison time.
Well, yeah, he's still in prison in Catalan. So we have how many people watching? 525. We have 126 likes. So I'm going to play some music until we get, let's see, when we get 250 likes, we're going to come back. So we're going to play some music here. And then I have an interesting Stacy Herbertism.
Oh, great.
So we're about 250. Everybody's singing along. Yeah, I'm singing along. Are you singing along? I got my hair cut finally. The first time in 15 months. She did lighten it quite a lot, but but the thing is, the back of my hair is finally cut. I can really understand now. I understand the origin of the mullet. Like after cutting my own hair for the last 15 months. I understand how mullets happened. I understand that design thing. And the woman who cut my hair, she actually said, hey, mullets are actually back in style and everybody comes in asking for it. And I was like, yeah, I see why it's a style because we're in a post-COVID reality, right? Everybody's doing their own stuff, stacking their own sats, baking their own keto, being their own bank with Bitcoin. We're taking care of ourselves. And if you gotta, the fact is the human arms are not designed to cut your own hair on the back. Right?
Oh yeah, true. Well, I'm never going to go back to the barber because I mastered my self haircut and I do a much better job now than any hair barber. So I'll never go back. That's going to save me about $8,000 over the next 30 years.
We women, we spend like that every 2 years on
that's true. Yeah. Well, like I always say, men think with their dick and women think with their hair. That's the biggest difference between the two genders.
Okay. That you heard it here first from Max Kaiser. So Samson Mao was making fun of all these Doge and Ethereum shitcoin rally. And he said Doge at $1.89 flippins Ethereum.
Yeah. I guess it does kind of really, it takes the wind out of the sail of these other altcoins that say they have a use case, like Ethereum or XRP or these other coins that really emphatically insist that there's really a purpose for their existence. And that's why the market cap for these are high.
Yeah.
But Doge kind of points, and proves really, without a doubt, that it's just all nonsense. And there is no use case outside of Bitcoin. And it is a gambling. That's why I say Coinbase and Gemini and these folks, they're operating without a gambling license, right? So when Gemini tweets, "Oh, Joe's is really a cute thing." Okay, well, that's like saying we love blackjack or we like the roulette wheel or come on down to the casino, right? Okay, well, as far as I understand, you don't have a gambling license, right? So you're engaged in illegal activity.
Well, I kind of think people should be able to gamble as much as they want because, it creates a lot of losers who help fund the winners. And that's what happens. Willie Woo was recently interviewed on a podcast with, Anthony Scaramucci's company, their entity. And the thing is, he was saying that, like, he was kind of warning right as this was about to happen. And he said that every time Bitcoin goes sideways, and it's starting to go sideways, is you get an altcoin rally because it's not new money in. What it is, there are hundreds of thousands of Bitcoiners. There's some on the edge, these degens who like speculating and gambling, that they get bored with the price not going up for a month. So they take their Bitcoin and convert it into Ethereum and other coins. And now Dogecoin is an $82 billion or $84 billion market cap, which is, bigger than it should be. But the fact is it's much smaller than Bitcoin. So it's easier to push it around, right? To push it up and then hope to cash out before other participants in the casino cash out before you, because there's only a limited number of chips that you can cash in before you, otherwise you go down with the whole sinking ship of shitcoins.
Yeah, you see it in the stock market all the time. So companies like Amazon, Apple, Google, Microsoft, they are consistently doing price performance over time. But when they go through those multi-month periods of going sideways, people dump those stocks and they start playing in the small cap tech sector, and they play around in that for a while. Then they lose a bunch, and they end up crawling back to the big names. So that rotation is pretty familiar behavior of speculators and day traders. So we see it in Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin's going sideways, people get impatient and they go and they trade the altcoins for a while, and 98% of them or higher get wrecked, and they got to pay taxes anyway, and then they go back to Bitcoin.
Oh, true.
Yeah, there's a big tax liability. People don't factor in the taxes when you're doing a lot of trading like that.
Short-term taxes are not good.
Right. So you've got you've got a lot of interesting tax implications. So that's it just goes through these cycles. So but the point for me is that people are say they're having fun, but I know that when the bubble pops and these things crash, they're going to be crying. And but this is not a shoulder to come crying on. This shoulder is not available for shitcoiners to cry on. We've been through all that back, we've been doing this for 10 years. We've been through at least 15 or more shitcoin bubbles. And so all we can say is go cry somewhere else.
Don't cry for me, Argentina. There should be a Argentina coin, right? So, yes, this is Katrina. So this is in honor of Cinco de Mayo. I guess it's like July 4th in Mexico. And that's why I wore this. I remembered as I was typing in the title, microdosing Cinco de Shitcoins, the 5 shitcoins of Robinhood. And I have this clever, in my own humble opinion, a very a clever quote from Stacy Herbert. And I'm going to cut to this for a moment. So it says, you can lead a pleb to Bitcoin, but you can't make it take the orange pill.
Oh, that is clever. Yeah, well, that's true. That leap into orange pilldom is something that not everybody can appreciate. They end up, paying the price that they deserve, right? So a lot of it has to do with their character. And people with weak characters can't take the final plunge into the Bitcoinosphere, into the orange pill. Those with strong characters seem to be able to get it quicker. And that's where it changes the society at large, I think.
Everybody loves your jacket.
Yes, thank you.
I really love your green glasses. Those look really cool in the video there.
I thought they went well with this jacket.
And he has his love t-shirt on.
Love.
Yeah, we love Stacy. I love it when people write "we love Stacy" and put an E in the Stacy.
That's right, honey. You get an extra E.
I bet Doge holders don't even pick up after their doggy poo. That's like being in Paris. Or the south of France, anywhere in France, really.
Yeah, it's very interesting in Paris. The dog poop situation is not as bad as it was 15, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. But it's very passive aggressive. So it's particularly in the quartiers like the 16th arrondissement, which is, I guess, the highest per capita net worth arrondissement of Paris. You find the most dog shit on the streets.
Yes.
And you also find people walking their dogs with the longest leash. So this is another passive aggressive technique that Parisians use to infuriate everybody around them, is to have a really long leash on their little small dog. So they take up more than the entire sidewalk. You literally have to cross the street, which is probably what you would do anyway, because the chances of stepping in dog shit are quite high anyway. So, but then they had for a while, I don't think they have them anymore. They had these guys on scooters with vacuums that would suck the dog shit up off the sidewalk.
That's so gross.
With these vacuums, these long vacuum tubes, and they're like on these scooters, and they're zipping around in between cars and zipping around and just filling this thing up with dog shit. Then they had a lot of ad campaigns, you're turning off the Americans with all this dog shit. Please stop having your dog shit in the street and on the sidewalk. And they had an ad once, an ad where a man is squatting on the sidewalk and shitting on the street. And there's the copy was something like, would you shit on the street? No. So why do you let your dog shit on the street?
Well, you should make an ad or remake that, but would you let your friend buy this shitcoin?
Yeah. Would you let your friend buy this shitcoin? So why are you buying this shitcoin?
I mean, that's how it's produced, right? It's like, one of the shitcoin promoters is just like squatting down and pooping on the street.
Yeah, that's just defecating the coin. I mean, in Dogecoin, I think they defecate over 5 billion new a year, right? There's the amount of the emission schedule is astronomically high. So it is, in fact, guaranteed to hit an inflection point where it will no longer be able to absorb the inflow of cash. And when exactly that moment comes, we'll see. But I don't want to, again, this shoulder is not available for crying on.
Yeah, we've already done that. We've already been there, done
that. Yeah, years and years ago. When the market for the entire crypto market was less in total, I mean, Bitcoin was $1. So the entire Bitcoin market was worth 21 million plus some shitcoins. So it was 30 or 35 million was the entire market, not 2.3 trillion, but 30 million. And there were 15 or 20 shitcoins. And yeah, it was fun for a few months. But again, the point is that people are not really having fun.
Well, okay. So, I mean, I did when I went to BCCE in like I don't know 2013. Yeah, the market cap of everything was about 100 million then, and you know it was fun just playing and because there was a troll box, right? And so it was like some crazy game, online game where nothing was real, and I didn't even like we were trading back and forth like all these coins that I didn't even know what the names were. I didn't know. I was just like going in and out based on somebody's comment of like a whale incoming buying XYZ, you know,
Yeah.
shitcoin. And of course, everybody at that time was saying, oh, Max Kaiser said buy this, or Max Kaiser's dumping, or something like that. But, you know, it was fun for one day, and that was enough. But I could see why, you know, people in lockdown, they're not, schools are closed, jobs are closed, the economy is closed, TV is shit. There's no new content because the economy is closed. They're being sent like enormous quantities of cash, like enormous. And it's just like, so, I mean, why not? Like, it's not even their money to lose. They're just throwing money at shit that, and hope they become wealthy out of it. And if they don't, then, well, they're just exactly where they were before. I mean, that's my theory of what's going on because it doesn't seem like a lot of them really know anything. I mean, like I said, I was in that BTCE troll box and buying anything, and I didn't care what it was. I didn't look at research, read the white paper. I don't know how many white papers there were back then, but like you know, I didn't look at what the fundamentals of this shitcoin were.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what's kind of funny is that when I go on Twitter and I read some of these threads from these shitcoiners, two things pop out. Number one, the insults that people use against those who are critical of the shitcoiners, a lot of those I invented.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the insults used by shitcoiners, I wrote. I'm the originator of them from 10 years ago. So I see my own writing. So there is some satisfaction in that. I get to see the immortalization of my quips from 10 years ago used by a whole new generation of shitcoiners. And then also the justifications that they use to buy shit is also many times written by me. So I get to see, again, my words immortalized by shitcoiners who are using the same words to describe why they're buying shitcoins. That, of course, would be more appropriate when you're talking about Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin is unique. Bitcoin is the only truly decentralized project of them all. The other ones are all centralized in varying degrees and varying ways. And so it's a one-off creation, and it created digital scarcity that's non-replicable. And once you do that, it makes no sense to make something that you say is the same or better, because it would undercut the notion of being uniquely unreplicable to begin with. And since it's been uniquely unreplicable, to begin with, you're at the end of the road. There was a moment in 2009 where we got absolute scarcity, distributed absolute scarcity, digital distributed absolute scarcity. So there's nothing, we don't need anything else. There's been no improvement. There's been nothing better. There's no reason to do it. But again, it's a matter of character. To understand that, it would require a certain level of character. People with weak characters, like a Mark Cuban, for example, we talked about, he has to go into shitcoins because he literally does not have the character to approach Bitcoin. And so but okay, at least he is kind of becoming a useful idiot because he's pulling capital away from other markets. And so he is helping to destabilize other markets. And he's in a state of disequilibrium. Where it goes from there, I don't know. But so there is some use for his shitcoinery in that respect, that to the degree that he can cause other more traditional markets to become more fragile and collapse.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Cuban is a billionaire and older, and yeah, I think he's doing it because I think he's doing it simply because he's dumb. I actually think you can lead him to Bitcoin but you can't make him take the orange pill because he doesn't even know how to, like he wouldn't be able to. And then you have a lot of young people who are getting all this free money, so they don't even understand store of value or money or concepts like that. Like it's game money at this point. This is like the free money you get when you join up and sign up for a game and you start like hit the refresh button and start a new,
Yeah, no, it's exactly like the Hollywood Stock Exchange.
yeah,
So I invented this model in 1996.
Yeah.
I have a patent for it.
Yeah.
So we
yeah.
give you the free Hollywood dollars,
Yeah.
and then you trade the virtual securities with a virtual market maker, right? And we sell the ads. So we're just encouraging people, but that was a pure gaming environment, and you had no risk of losing anything. But here with Robinhood, it's like the reason why they don't allow contract for difference products in the United States, that they do allow them in the United Kingdom, is because they're pure gambling instruments. But in the UK, they have it's much more legalized gambling, right? You have Ladbrokes and the other gambling shops, and
all over the place.
all over the place. So gambling is like more or less legal everywhere in the UK. Because you can do these shops. In the U.S., it's very restricted. You have Nevada and some other areas, some Indian reservations, as they're called. There are some pockets of legalized gambling. Atlantic City. But for the most part, it's illegal. It's an illegal activity. Where that is being fudged, and there's a bit of a workaround, are these new products like DraftKings and FanDuel that are essentially equivalent to legalized gambling, but they kind of skirt around the law in a way that's not being addressed. They're usually, the reason why you don't have the gambling as a monopoly is because of the organized crime. So organized crime was very, very powerful in the 60s and 70s, and any attempt to do any legalized gambling outside of their power centers like New Jersey or Las Vegas, it was very difficult to do because they were a very, very powerful organization. But as the organized crime in the U.S. has diminished, and you have the rise of the criminals on Wall Street like Jamie Dimon, then they can push and they can lobby for gambling equivalent products. We know from the Commodity Futures Modernization Act that we talk about all the time under the Clinton administration, they were able to get that passed, which essentially legalized gambling in the derivatives market. So this is why you have all these crashes, is because with 0% interest rate on money and unlimited credit, unlimited borrowing, these banks would gamble their entire balance sheet on the spin of the derivative wheel. And if it worked, they keep the money, and if they lost it all, they got a bailout. There was just a case with Credit Suisse, right? They're the huge owner of that big hedge fund that just blew up. Archegos. It's the new Lehman Brothers. It blew up. They lost hundreds of billions. And so, but in that case, the European Central Bank just dishes out everything they need to make themselves whole. And they're like, oh, well, better luck next time. And so they don't lose any money. If they had won, then they give themselves huge bonuses and they keep the profits. Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like, so we're in this new paradigm, in this new situation. So the U.S. Central Bank has guaranteed that they're going to buy all this junk bonds. So what happens? Those are the equivalent of shitcoins in the bond market, right? A whole bunch are being issued on all sorts of things, whether it's like a little Subway, a pizza joint in New Jersey trading at $100 million or what. Like, you have this explosion of shitcoins, and that's the same that you see in the trail, in the wake of Bitcoin, right? You have Bitcoin, which is the digital equivalent of gold in the analog system. And then under gold, we built, U.S. Treasuries, and then U.S. Treasuries built all these derivatives and the gambling under it. Like, all of that stuff in the analog world below gold is like various levels of shitcoins. Some of them are closer, like U.S. Treasuries, to gold. But all that junk bond shit that's being put on the Treasury balance, on the Fed's balance sheet, That's
Yeah.
all these.
I remember we used to talk about derivatives, you know, when they were breaking them up and selling them in tranches.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a case of reverse drug dealing,
Yeah.
right? So if you're a cocaine dealer, you get some cocaine from Bolivia, and then you cut it with something like baby laxative or whatever. You cut that into your cocaine to
Yeah.
to extend it, to create 3 times or 5 times more
Yes.
powder.
Yes.
Right?
It starts pure.
Right. It starts pure, and then you adulterate it, and
Mm-hmm.
and you increase your profit margin. Here in the derivative market from the 10 years ago, they start off with the adulterated baby powder, the garbage, the shit, what you would spend $5 for a ton of the product. And then you add sparingly a little AAA rated U.S. government treasury bond into that shit, and you sell it to pension funds as if it's 100% AAA rated paper. Essentially, you're saying. So it's like the same mentality of these drug dealers, and the result was catastrophic. Right, everything blew up in 2008 because of this, and the Fed had to write a $20 trillion check.
And you know, Cinco de shitcoins here. What you see is they know your customer, right? So you have the Pablo Escobar, who has lieutenants, who has all sorts of like dudes that are going to be arrested and thrown in prison for the rest of their lives eventually. Like that's the way it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
So by the time it gets down to the streets of Baltimore, and if you watch The Wire, it's an amazing series. It's been you know, the cut they take is essentially, you know, mixing baby laxative into it the whole way down. So by the time it gets to Bubbles or whatever the guy's name was in the streets of Baltimore,
Mm-hmm.
it's like 10% cocaine, you know, 90% baby powder and all sorts of other stuff.
Yeah.
So, however, somebody at Wall Street is going to get the stuff that's 90% pure.
Right. Well, that's the Cantillon effect, isn't it?
in
The
the
Cantillon
drug
effect
market
is
and in the shitcoin
the
market.
Wall Street market gets the 100% good shit.
Yeah.
And by the time Mr. and Mrs. Jones on Main Street get it, it's 99% baby laxative.
Yeah, and that's exactly what these shitcoins are. It's like
It's drug dealing.
It's like it's basically trying to create an illusion that there's somehow like Bitcoin effect. They're taking the Bitcoin effect, which, by the way, Bitcoin has no marketing department. Every single other coin, every single one does. Like every single one that still trades. And
how about American Gangster? So there's that scene where Denzel Washington meets with the uptown drug dealer, played by Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah.
And he says, "Look, man, my heroin is marketed under something blue streak or blue heaven or something, and you are cutting my shit and selling inferior shit. You know, you're ruining my brand. My brand is like Coca-Cola. You don't fuck with my brand." Cuba Gooding Jr. and his character, the drug dealer from uptown, was saying like, "Yo, man, you come in here and you talk shit about this and that, you know," and it's a great scene. It's a lot of fun. I forget how it ends. I guess in most of the scenes in that movie ends with somebody getting shot and killed. I think maybe that's the way that scene ends. But yeah, the Cantillon effect is basically drug dealing for bankers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, derivative dealers and drug dealing for bankers. And shitcoins, it's they try to piggyback the brand of Bitcoin, right? That's it. They try to piggyback the brand of Bitcoin.
They try to cut it into like like there's an illusion of a tranche of Bitcoin inside your shitcoin.
Yeah. It's a trick bag. It's a trick bag.
Yeah.
That shit's a trick bag, man. That's no good. And but
don't buy that dime bag.
Yeah, don't buy that dime bag of that fucking shit. So these guys are drug dealing gamblers, whether it's the Winklevoss twins or Elon Musk or Brian Jackson. No, what's his name? Brian Anderson?
Armstrong.
No, Brian Armstrong. Right? They're drug dealing unlicensed casino operators. They're not pimps. So that's, as far as I can tell, they're not pimps, but they are drug dealing unlicensed casino operators. And people are going to get wrecked. But again, once that happens, don't bother me with your sad tale.
So I think most people learn better by getting wrecked than by learning from a book. You know, you have to be a specific sort of person. I know everybody, you know, there's this notion of equity now, and like everybody's got to be treated equally in a classroom situation. But there are very few people that are just like, you know, Stephen Hawking or stuff that like that could just read it in a book and like understand it. That could see the chess moves on a chessboard and like, oh yeah, I remember that play from 20 years ago.
Oh, speaking of chess moves and whatnot,
Yeah, I was thinking.
what's going on with this Chamath?
Oh, well, that was the ultimate of game theory, right? The guy tried to pull analog world moves in a digital Bitcoin world, and he got.
Well, yeah, you know, I can't. So what happened? I mean, he got tossed. He's not going to be at Bitcoin 2021, right? He's not going to be a speaker. He's gone.
So what happened was that, you know, Surfer Jim,
yeah,
who we met a few years ago at Unconfiscatable in Vegas, you know, Tone Vase's conference, and I guess he was saying, I think he said, you know, Kai's Report first introduced him to Bitcoin, and he's been a Bitcoiner for a few years. He's like a builder out in Long Island. And the thing is that, you know, he's a pleb, right?
Yeah.
So as a, you know, my amazing quote that I quote to attribute to myself.
Yeah.
If you can lead a pleb to Bitcoin, but you can't make it take the orange pill, well, Surfer Jim took it. So the thing is, like, he tweeted about Bitcoin 2021, which he's going to. He said, hey, look at this guy Chamath is going there, or Chamath, I don't know what his name is, but he said, you know, that this guy's a shitcoiner.
Right.
And obviously it upset Chamath, and what he did is wrote back and said, you know, basically, fuck you, I've been, you know, you're living in your mom's basement probably, and I have way more Bitcoin than you, and I'm a billionaire. Essentially, that's a, you know, I'm paraphrasing. But,
yeah.
So he pulled the like, I'm an analog billionaire, and fuck you.
Don't you know I am that card?
Yeah. He pulled that card, and oh my God, obviously, okay, you can lead a billionaire to Bitcoin, but you can't make them see the orange pill. Like, the guy cannot read the room, obviously. Like, he obviously has made money in the whole, you know, analog space in Silicon Valley, but the fact is, like, he like couldn't read the room, and everybody was like against him and like piling onto him and saying like, fuck this guy, let's get Surfer Jim instead.
Yeah, and so he's not going to be at that event. So this guy Chamath, he was on like CNBC a year ago or 2 years ago, and he was talking about Bitcoin and had a good case for it.
Yeah.
And he was lauded by the community. It's like, hey, this guy knows what he's doing. Hey, that's great. But now he's a pariah. You know, that happens. It
just takes one tweet.
Yeah, that happens in this community so often. People just go from hero to zero, you know, in a day. And the plebs just circle like piranha around a dying carcass, and they just take every speck of flesh off the bone, and it's nothing left but a carcass rotting in the lagoon. And there he is. I mean, he's got. So I wonder exactly. We don't know, but I wonder if he requested to drop out of that event, or whether the event organizers just kicked him to the curb. I have no idea.
I bet you he dropped out. Like, at that point, like, as you said, the piranhas of the plebs just like picked every single bit of meat off his like branding or credibility, and like, what would he gain from going there?
Yeah, because people were saying, you know, when at the event, when Chamath is on stage, we're going to start booing him. We're going to start throwing lettuce and tomato at this guy. Like, they were organizing public, you know, like he's going to lock him in the stocks and like throw tomatoes at him. And all this public humiliation was being planned, you know, and I guess he just tucked tail and ran.
It's like, you know, it reminded me of that moment when Max and I were living in Paris, and there was a scene that every year the president of France has to go visit the farmers. and the farmers control France. Like, if you know anything about France, it's the farmers control everything. If they're going to put a pile of shit, speaking of shit coins, they'll put a pile of shit in front of the Elysee Palace if they're angry with something. And you can't do anything about it. You can't send SWAT. You can't send teams of goons to go kneecap them like you could do in most other countries. So Sarkozy, who was president at the time, went down to this famous agricultural event. And of course, some farmer confronted him and was like, you asshole. And Sarkozy, this caused like chaos in the country. Sarkozy referred to him in the tu rather than vous, right? Which is like a diminutive, like you're talking down to the person in France because they're very formal. So he yelled back at this guy, and it was like fucking chaos. Like, how dare you, cunt! Like, we'll chop your head off. Like, all of society like went freaking crazy, and it was like this sort of moment. It's like Chamath was thinking, like, you know, here was Sarkozy on one hand saying, like, I am the president and I fly in the presidential jet and live in the Elysee Palace, you little child.
Yeah. You can get away with a lot in France, but you can't get away with misconjugating a verb. That's met with capital punishment. You can get decapitated.
True.
Yeah, I mean, there was another Sarkozy scandal where eagle-eyed observers with telescopes zoomed in on a notebook he was carrying, and he referred to who would become his future wife in the tu, informal conjugation, and this set off a massive scandal as well.
Yeah, it was front page news, so that would be front page news everywhere. Like, they saw a love note, obviously. He was carrying it. He was still married, about to get divorced. And the scandal was not that he was having an affair. The scandal was it was a love letter from Carla Bruni to him. But she's originally Italian and moved to France. Like, her French is not perfect, and it must be perfect.
It's a mixed marriage,
you must have perfect French if you speak French in France.
Yes,
especially in Paris. So the scandal was that she had used a conjugation that would be normally used towards a man. Like a man from a man. So, like, they didn't understand this love note to Sarkozy, that it seemed like it was from a man because they were using the wrong tense and the wrong words. And, like, is he having an affair with a man?
You
like,
see?
what is going on here?
Everything spun wildly out of control.
That's all they cared about. They didn't care that he was saying, c'est normal to have an affair for the president of France.
Wait, c'est pas problème, c'est normal. Grand amour, petit amour, c'est normal. But, you know, speaking of French farmers, right? So that attitude there is remarkable because they, as you point out, they really are the soul of the country, and they guard the terroir. You know, this is the sacred, holy ground of French soil from whence comes the wine and the produce and the agriculture. That is, of course, the finest that God has ever seen and tasted in
Italy
history. And so this is you can't cross the farmers. No.
Well, because you know, every time they try to do those reforms, what happens is, like, we've been there many times for many strikes, and what it is like the students come out, and then the nurses come out, and the teachers come out, and you know, the train workers, the unions there, you know. But it's when the farmers decide to join the protests.
Yeah.
And they bring their tractors. They've done this a few times where they shut down Paris.
Yep.
And they don't allow any traffic in or out with all their tractors and farm equipment lined up.
Yep.
And it's amazing because in America, like, they would just be sent to a gulag essentially for 20 years. Like, that would be illegal, right? Like, they would be sent away and surrounded by National Guard and all that sort of stuff.
No, it's the priorities, right? So the priorities are what they are. And that's a completely different culture. And there you have it.
But it doesn't get exposed in the West. Like, they're in the West, but it doesn't get exposed in America. So, like, when we were there during the 2008 financial crisis, like, all these American corporations with a French unit or manufacturing plant or whatever, of course, like, with the financial crisis, they shut down. and they got boss napped, right? So there were all these boss nappings. Like the French people just kidnapped their boss and held them until they paid them their like their 3 months exit and their pension.
Yep.
So and there was widespread support for it. The newspaper had polls, and they said like it was 77% support. And Max and I were like looking at the U.S. media. Nobody was reporting on these Americans being kidnapped.
Yeah, no,
in Paris. And then you know, so there's like just the difference in like also during the 2008 there was some sort of something going on with the EDF, like the electrical company. And, you know, Sarkozy was trying to have them do a pay cut or something. And imagine this in the United States. The electrical workers shut off the electricity to the Elysee Palace. So imagine them doing that in the U.S. to the White House, like deciding we're going to cut off your electricity. And it was like... c'est normal, but you know you cannot do this. Like this is outrageous. And
I'm like, having my escargot. This is outrageous.
Like but I was like, we had just moved there like a year before, and I was just like, what the hell is going on in this country? Like this is insane. Like how is this even allowed? And that they don't get shot dead and thrown in Guantanamo Bay.
It's totally glorious. But I wonder now, you know, it's been a few years and so much has happened. I wonder what the vibe is, what's going on there. We must return to Paris to check in and see what's there, what's left, what's happening.
Yeah, Thomas says Sarkozy called the guy pauvre con.
Pauvre con.
Which means idiot in poverty. And that's what kicked people off. Gilets jaunes, yeah. We weren't there for the Gilets jaunes. That came afterward.
Right.
We were there for the dégonflé.
Oh, the dégonflé.
Yeah. And again, like that wasn't covered even in the New York Times, which is obviously pretty well known in Paris, and that has a relationship, and the cover there, and like all the sort of people who read the New York Times vacation in Paris. But all that central, when we were living in the Fifth Arrondissement at the time, like you'd come out and cars would be burned.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about, the burned cars. But the dégonflé is tire slashing.
Yeah, they were kind of at the same time united, and it was like wasn't covered in international press covered this movement, but they said it was like out in the outer skirts, and we're like, what the hell? Like we're right outside the Pantheon.
The banlieue. They said, oh, these dégonflés are in the banlieue, and but now our street was just littered with everyone's cars having their tires slashed, and as you were saying there, burning cars is really common. In any kind of protest. So you come out of your flat and you'll see like burning car in the middle of the road, and then the firemen show up and they'll put it out. But it's so common to just torch vehicles. You know, when you watch the news in Paris and you say there was a huge protest, you'll see a lot of burning cars. And it's just very, very normalized.
Well, Yellow is super happy that we mentioned Gilets jaunes because jaune is yellow.
Jaune. Gilets jaunes avec un chien. Jean.
I was when I worked in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I worked for producer Michael Phillips, and his wife was French, and their daughter, who then ended up working for the Fed and stuff. But I was babysitting her at like 3, and she spoke half French, half English. And I remember that. That's the first time I ever heard that. You know, I was like 19, 20 years old, and she was like, Jean Bateau. And I was like, what? Jean Bottle? Like, I didn't know. Like, I was looking all over the house like this. And she's like, no. I didn't know that meant yellow.
Oui. She spoke franglais.
Franglais, yeah.
Oui, franglais. Oui. So chouette. We must return to Paris, hopefully before too long.
Oh, my God. We watched that Ken Burns documentary on Hemingway, and Max, I could feel him bristle.
Yeah, it was tough to watch because you just feel so homesick. Feel homesick for Paris.
Paris is Max's home.
It is my spiritual home, I think.
Because, you know, Paris, Westchester County, you know, assholes, basically snobs. Like this is a similarity, right?
It is snobby. There's some snobbiness going on, but you know, it goes deeper than that. Very much deeper. My love for Paris goes much deeper.
Okay, so microdosing CINCO de shitcoins. Hey, We have 1,060 people watching this. Smash that like button before you fuck off, okay? Like,
Yeah.
go smash it.
Hit the like button
we're
first.
trying to be like rude to you, like a Parisian.
Wait.
Okay.
Wait.
Like
Non, c'est non. No, impossible. No, interdit. C'est interdit, monsieur. Absolument no.
they kind of have the whole, I mean, New York is changing, but you know, the whole New York thing of like customer service. It was like, what the fuck do you want? Like, just hurry up. Come on. I got other customers here. What do you want? What do you want? That's like the Paris. They do it in their own way, but it's just like, ugh, why are you stressing me out with coming into my shop and making me work? This is just unacceptable.
Well, that's the thing you don't have. The people who work in these service establishments, stores and restaurants, they can claim to the government that a customer stressed them out so bad that they need relief payment. And it works. And they get huge subsidies from the government claiming customer-related stress. Talk about the snobbiness. So, of course, the image of Paris is idolized in various countries around the world and also in Asia. So when these young Japanese girls and Chinese girls were traveling to Paris, especially
Japanese, it was.
in China, you know, they recently became middle class and they have wealth. And so these Asian girls, Japanese girls also go to Paris, and their expectations were that it was this, you know, this fairy tale where everything is fabulous and people are charming. And they are met with this wave of hostility, which is the normal kind of interface one has with a Parisian. If one is unprepared for it, it can be a bit unnerving. And these Japanese girls were ending up just breaking down into tears on the spot. And they were just collecting in these way stations where they had to be talked through and talked down from this experience.
So we covered this on one of our early podcasts in France.
Yeah.
And it was a New York Times article we covered. And so Japan itself, like the government opened a facility in Paris.
Right.
For all these Japanese young women who, you know, they have a similar build to French women, very petite and like also love fashion. And they went there thinking like they have all this money, they're going to go shopping and Champs-Élysées, oh my God, we're going to go shopping. And they weren't prepared, especially because Japanese people are so polite, for how rudely they were treated.
Yeah.
So they had mental breakdowns. There were quite a few young women who were Japanese who had mental breakdowns. So they opened some sort of like mental health facility for Japanese in Paris because this is a like I imagine like that like the receptionist was like, did you go into Chanel?
Yeah, Chanel.
Yeah.
Have a seat, take a number. Well, Oprah Winfrey got booted out of Louis Vuitton on Champs-Élysées.
Yeah, right? They like shut the door fast.
Yeah, they shut her out. They locked her out. They wouldn't let her even come in the store.
And they said, they apologized. Oh, we're sorry. We have a lot of problem with Africans. And she's like, okay.
Well, that's Paris for you. It's got some interesting, subtle ways about it. Got to navigate through the dog shit and various other local particulars.
Smash the like button. Jean says. Wait, so Jean, Yellow and Young sound quite similar, right?
Yellow and Young?
Yeah.
Sounds like a law firm from some Beatles record. No, what is it? Who
Yellow, the color is Jean.
Jean?
And Young is Jean. How do you say that? Chauvin?
Oh, yeah, it's similar. But of course, you know, you have to put the right pronunciation in, or you could end up in the 2+2 club at 3 o'clock in the morning getting fucked by 2 French plumbers. You know, you really got to be careful how you pronounce stuff. You know, that's another thing. It's like these sex clubs, there's several sex clubs in Paris, you know, and it's, you know, we learn about it in the U.S. from like Dominic Strauss-Kahn, you know, he often went to this 2+2, you know, this club, and others are frequently caught in, you know, coming out of these clubs and stuff. But it's very normalized in French life, you know, for middle class average people to go to these orgy clubs. So you just have that experience of seeing your boulanger, and I don't want to get too far into the details actually on this one. It's but I'll just say that it's another interesting facet. So this show that just came out called Emily in Paris.
Yeah.
It got panned, and people hated it.
Yeah.
And because it's very saccharine and very superficial. It's every cliche you could possibly imagine jammed into a 30-minute cable TV show about this girl, American in Paris. And it's a shame, really, because there's so much you can do with that material. And I suppose these days, because the ability to shoot, and what's interesting is that a lot of the show, she moves into this flat that was on Rue de l'Estrapade in the 5th arrondissement, which is the same street that we lived on for several years. So it's just like half a block away. And her patisserie, where she was getting her pain au chocolat, was the same one that we used to go to, almost every day. And so you see all those shots, and again, I felt so homesick about it. But I'm like, oh man.
I mean, there becomes a certain point, like that patisserie that we went to. There was this old woman that worked there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. She looked old. She was probably 50, right? And the thing is, like, she was so cranky, so French and cranky, just like no matter what. Like, even if you went there 2 or 3 times a day, you'd have to say bonjour, madame, every time. Like, you couldn't like be in New York and just go in there, hey, yeah, I want a baguette. Like, you had to say bonjour, madame, comment allez-vous? Okay, good. Oh, yeah, it's just, oh, you're still good. Just like a few hours ago when I saw you. Anyway, otherwise she would just like hate you. So I was in there once, and because it's the 5th arrondissement, it's like a lot of American tourists came in, and an American tourist was in front of me. This older couple, like 60s, and the woman goes like this to this French woman, and I'm pretty sure that cranky French woman did not speak English, but the American woman goes, do you have any of those baguettes that are crunchy on the outside and really soft in the inside? And this like French woman was like she didn't even say hello. Like, what are you saying? Like, hello. Like, and she's like, oh, you know what I'm saying. She's like, and I was laughing so hard. And she's like, and her husband's like, it doesn't look like she knows. They're crunchy on the outside and soft on the inside.
Getting louder, getting louder. Yeah, if you think Karens are bad in the United States, watching Karens in Paris is a whole nother level of disgust.
I'm sure that woman received a huge payout for the government for this stress.
She had to go get stress-related compensation.
It was the funniest thing. I did step in and I was like, I know this woman. She doesn't speak English.
She never said a word.
Like, I barely understand what the hell you're saying. So I don't what fucking baguette is crunchy on the outside?
She made like Grumpy Cat look like Pee Wee Herman. Like she was just like always totally frowning with this face, like so unhappy with everything all the time. And but you had to talk to her though before you could order a baguette. So like, bonjour, ça va bien? Eh oui, vos vacances, vous allez où cet été? Oui, la Provence. Une baguette, s'il vous plaît. Right?
S'il vous plaît, madame.
Oui, puis une baguette. Then finally. Also, an interesting factoid is about because of the laws in France, everyone is guaranteed bread at a subsidized by the French government. So you can't charge more than, at that time it was like 1.2 euros for a baguette, and it's against the law to charge more than that. Nobody can undercut that price. It's against the law to charge more than that price because they have the law about everyone needs to get the food at the price that everyone can afford.
You look so cool in that green, those green glasses.
If a boulanger goes on vacation, they have to post in their window where the nearest baguette can be found.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, we're on vacation. You can get a baguette at this address.
That was useful while we were there because that's the problem with Paris is it's hard to do keto there because of those baguettes and croissants. But once I was there with my best friend and this Hollywood writer guy who was making a big film. And he thought he was like hot shit and was like trying to speak French.
Yeah.
And the French taxi drivers are the rudest of all. Like, if you want to have the ultimate rude experience, It's the taxi drivers.
Well,
right?
I was having dinner with Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger.
Okay.
Okay, in the 8th arrondissement. And she had the seafood, it's a crustacean, a platter of crustacean. And within a half hour, she developed explosive diarrhea.
Oh, shit.
And so she was back at the hotel room, Kim was, like shitting her brains out. And complaining
what
to
does
everybody.
this have to do with the taxi
that she
driver?
was trying to like get really upset with everybody. Like she's going to sue the restaurants. He's going to sue everybody. And Alex running around like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to figure out how come my wife has explosive diarrhea from your oysters. Can't you figure this all out, you guys, you fucking French, right? And I'm like, I was there kind of like trying to hold my back the laughter of the situation.
They don't care.
Max, it's just a bad tourist situation.
When I first met Max, we were at a restaurant in the south of France, and he drank a piece of glass, like it was broken inside there. Yeah. And he's like, "Hey, I drank there was a piece of glass," and they were like, "Ooh," the waiter was like, "That's too bad. This pas grave." Like that's
I said, "I know it's too bad. What do you want me to do?" And the waiter goes like this. Like, you will shit it out.
Shitcoin.
You're gonna shit it out. Don't worry.
Shitcoins.
Right, because you can't. There's no. You can't do predatory lawsuits.
No,
in
no
Europe.
lawsuits.
You can't just sue people.
But I'm gonna say with this whole gender identity and how in America they want to say on the Cinco de Mayo everybody is Latinx. I don't know. I think that's how they pronounce it. I'm not sure. Anyway, you can't say Latina and Latino. Well, imagine what it's going to be like in France when they try to impose that on the French people who are so freaked out about their grammar. Like that Hollywood writer guy who was like, we were going back to his area where he was staying, which is the 4th arrondissement, the Marais.
Wait.
And he said, we're going to the taxi driver. He said, we got in. He's like, La Marais. And the taxi driver was like, La Marais? La Marais? And he's like looking at and yelling at him. And Warren Light, he was like, yeah, what the fuck? What's going on? He's like, La Marais. And he was like, it's like 100 miles away. I am not going there. And he said, and it's like, oh, it's Le Marais.
Le Marais.
Like okay.
It's masculine.
Yeah, like literally just saying La Marais instead of Le Marais was like, he was like, you want to go to the ocean? The ocean's so far away. And it's like,
right.
What sort of that's just being an asshole, right? Like
no. There's no difference between being an asshole and being French. It's the same thing, right? It's like La Marais. Are you fucking nuts?
I mean,
are you crazy? It's Le Marais. It's masculine. Don't you know anything, you Philistine tourist American schmuck?
I mean, you cannot be in Paris and have any high time preference. Everything takes half an hour to negotiate.
Right. Or you're in the shop, and you're buying a quart of milk and you are standing behind a 90-year-old French grandmother who is also buying a quart of milk and paying it with it by writing a check for 79 centimes and talking about how what she did on her summer vacation. 30 minutes later, you're still there.
That's when I got into actually living in Paris, when I first started actually using Twitter. Because we had been signed up to it for a while, but I didn't see any use for it. And then I had to stand in line in Paris. And you either stand there for half an hour like a putz after this old woman chatting to that cranky woman at the boulangerie and writing a check, and you're just sitting there for half an hour, or you just tweet and do stuff.
You can write a whole novel in the time it would take to reach the front of the queue. That's how Hemingway got started. It's like, I'm so sick of these old ladies at the store. I'm just going to write a freaking novel while I'm waiting. And it turned out pretty well for him.
Everybody's saying that your glasses look like Taproot. Well, Yellow is the one that pointed it out.
Yeah, exactly. Taproot. Yeah. It's all happening. They're all signaling for Taproot. Yay, Taproot.
Simon O says the Catalan have the same attitude with Spanish. That's there was when I first moved to Los Angeles, and half the population there is Mexican, literally half of it. But the guy Carlos Pugh at this the apartment building I lived in, which is a pretty famous building. Fred McMurray used to own it. It was like the Bryson building. It's a famous Art Deco building. And he so the guy at the front desk, like the concierge sort of guy there, was from Barcelona, outside of Barcelona. He was from Spain, he said. And so I, was at UCLA and I was taking Spanish. I had a Spanish course there. And I asked him, I was like, can you help me with this Spanish homework? And he's like, no, I don't speak Spanish. I was like, you're from Spain, right? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay, okay. I don't understand this. Like, what's going on here? And he's like, I speak Catalan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was like, but you speak Spanish too, right? Like,
No,
you live in Spain.
Catalan
like,
only.
No, I would be disinherited if I spoke Spanish. It's like, okay. I think
I was in San Michel once in the Catalan area of Spain, and the ETA
yes,
ran through the church wearing the balaclava, and like a black uniform, and they were having weapons and shit. And they ran through this church, and something was going down, and then they kind of ran out the back, and I didn't hear about it, but I was like, it's live. It's a live thing. The ETA is no joke. They are still fighting very aggressively for independence.
I mean, I was like there in that whole border region, the Basque country with France.
Yeah.
In maybe like 2001, and it was I accidentally I was with a friend and we accidentally went into one of their pubs, the Etta pub.
Yeah.
And it was on the Spanish side, I believe. And I was like dos cervezas, please. And the guy said, we don't speak, he said, I don't speak Spanish. No español. And I was like, okay. And it was like really weird and tense because I didn't know, like we had accidentally walked, they didn't want to kill us, like just because we had, they could see we were tourists. But then afterward I realized the flag flying out there was like, locals would know not to go in.
Yeah, it said a big freaking flag.
But they spoke French, so I had to speak French to them instead.
Right. You
did? Like they would agree to speak French.
Right.
They would not agree to speak Spanish. Like I couldn't speak Basque.
Right.
They would agree to speak French to me.
Right. You know where we never got to, sadly, was Corsica.
Well, there's lots of time, honey.
Yeah, I've been to Sardinia, but
I mean, okay. The absurdity is we never went to Corsica, and there was a ferry
every
that
day.
went from where we lived and like just Nice, like we were just outside of Nice, and it's like a ferry we could have taken.
Yep. Yeah, we just never did, and that's sad because it's so. I hear it's so gorgeous there.
Well, that's a good one to consider as we head out. I don't speak poverty. No habla, no sabe, señor. Dos cinco de shitcoins. Right. So, oh my God. Okay, wait. We need more likes because that's 666. I see right there.
Yeah, we can't leave it on 666.
We can't leave it on the devil.
Another like. We need another like.
Okay,
baby,
it's 689 now.
Baby.
I'm still mastering English, says Inner Dinosaur. I like Inner Dinosaur. He's the master of the GIF.
Really? Yeah.
He leaves some pretty awesome GIFs in our thing. Oh, I have one more headline, actually. Let's do this before we go. And I'll also, while I cut to this, I'll look at some of your comments or questions here. And that is this, because, let's take a look at this. I'm told that when I actually cut to one of these headlines, you can't hear us speak. So
right.
I'll just cut to the headline.
Yeah.
Okay. So the hash wars, this is a cool thing about the US that's really changed in the last few years. And I mean, it's always been there, the federal, the states' rights, and it's never challenged the federal government so much as in the past decade, when they started introducing the legalization of marijuana. And now you have this competition between states and this mining thing. So New York is like the least welcoming to Bitcoin. And that makes sense because they have the legacy financial system, right? That's based out of New York. And they don't want to give up their seigniorage. But like all these countries, states like Texas, like Kentucky, like Louisiana, Tennessee, Miami, I don't know about the rest of Florida, but certainly cities as well, like are jumping on the Bitcoin bandwagon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So New York was again rejecting Bitcoin and mining, and they threw some FUD at it, and they don't know what they're saying. And Kentucky is saying, "Hey, come to Kentucky. Well, we love Bitcoin miners. We've done our research. We've done the homework. We know that it's actually a green industry, and we want the income. We want the jobs." And so there's going to be competition set up. Wyoming is very pro Bitcoin. Florida, the mayor of Miami, very pro Bitcoin, getting tax breaks for people, Bitcoiners in Miami. So, the states are very powerful, and occasionally they do clash with the federal government, I guess most spectacularly during the Civil War. Now, going forward, though, this could be lines could be drawn between the blue states that are part of the legacy system and are hoarding all the cash on Wall Street, friends of Jamie Dimon, et cetera, versus the red states that are saying, you know what, we're going to just create our own money. And similar to the Civil War, the North ended up advantageously creating their own capital fiat money at that time, the greenback, I believe it was called, and that was one of the reasons that they triumphed in that war. Going back to the Revolutionary War, the U.S. created the Continental, which went to zero. That was a big disaster. Yeah. But this is all about, states' rights plus money. It could equal, you could have some states really clashing. You had more representation in Congress now from Florida and Texas because of the migration of people from New England and L.A. to Texas and Florida. So now they're getting more politically powerful. That trend probably will continue. Obviously, Tennessee and Kentucky are more in the southern states. So that's where the future is, apparently, if you look at it through the lens of Bitcoin.
You can lead a pleb to Bitcoin, but you can't make it take the orange pill.
And congratulations to Bob Baffert winning his 7th Kentucky Derby. Amazing. With a horse that he purchased for $35,000. Not he, but he's a trainer for the owner, bought the horse for $35,000. It's one of the most remarkable Kentucky Derby stories in a while.
You see, Max follows the news. He's on top of it all.
Yeah, the Kentucky Derby.
It is a good story.
It's a lot of fun. The jockey was, I think he's 49 years old. He's kind of like the Tom Brady of jockeys.
Oh my God.
He won his 4th Kentucky Derby.
Gen X is in the news, man.
What? I saw Gen X in the news. What's going on with Gen X?
Gen X is like, we've been ignored for all of eternity because of boomers.
Yeah.
And now everybody's like obsessed with millennials because they're onto the next hot thing.
Yeah.
Right? But Gen X
I'm saying that he's 49 years old. He's Gen X.
He's Gen X.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And what about Swan?
Oh, yeah, we have to say, like, everybody's actually talking about smash buying. I would smash buy, but the thing is,
can't be bothered.
Like I've already bought so much. Like, I don't know what this whole fiat world is like.
I'm in a post-Bitcoin reality. That's what Orange Pill is all about. It because at some point you have so much Bitcoin that everything just doesn't really mean anything anymore. And that's what orange pilling is all about. You're in joining a cosmic consciousness. But in case you want to become part of the cosmic consciousness and you're a little light of Satoshis, go to swampbitcoin.com/orange pill and get $10 free if you register. Or if you're already registered, go smash some more and keep smashing. The alt Mirage is amusing. And when it blows up, that's a lot of fresh money from crying altcoiners that'll be rushing back into Bitcoin at $100,000 a coin, begging for forgiveness. And you can tell them, ha ha ha, you're coming in now, ha ha ha. So in order to be able to be vindictive and mean and a toxic Bitcoiner in 6 months' time, you need to stack sats now. Right? Think of it as your toxicity futures, right? If you want to be toxic in the future, you've got to have enough sats now to piss on altcoiners when they lose it all in a few months. And you can't do it unless you stack sats now. Okay? That's the motivation behind everything, going back to when a man first walked out of Africa.
Right. I noticed the autofocus is still on, so it does zoom in a bit every once in a while.
That's fine. It's psychedelic. Most of the people watching this are on drugs, so they wouldn't even notice.
Most people wouldn't notice, I know, but I'm like an editor as well, so
okay.
I notice these things, but
yeah, sure, that's fine. Your colors look a lot brighter and vibrant than over there. Also, we're switched.
Okay. Yeah. So somebody did mention Tim Pool. We are going to be on Timcast.
Timcast.
So if you go to Twitter, Timcast, we're going to be on his show on Monday night at 8 p.m.
That's so late. Oh, man,
Eastern
it's past
time.
my bedtime.
It is indeed past Max's bedtime.
I'm going to stay up to 8 o'clock at night.
You're going to take a nap beforehand.
I need a nap. That's going to be a good dipper.
Okay, so yeah, I guess that's it. And oh, look at that love on your t-shirt. How did you know? Oh my God, Max! Millennials respect Gen X. We love you. They wish microdosing drugs and Bitcoin fiat will have a reality bites Gen X reckoning. I hope so. I think there's a lot of nobody pays attention to all the Gen X in the Bitcoin space. Go on, Yang Speaks. Max, should I get on drugs to watch?
I thought you were on drugs. What's going on? You're late to the party.
Okay, well, I hope you liked microdosing CINCO Day shitcoins, the 5 shitcoins of Robinhood.
The 5 shitcoins of Robinhood will wreck you sure as day is long. That's a bad song.
Hey, this is the finished polka.